Today's topic is building a wider and thicker back musculature. To make this easier, we will be dividing the back into its four major muscle groups: the latissimus dorsi, the trapezius, the rhomboids, and the spinal erectors. We will be choosing our exercises based on two categories: the potential to trigger hypertrophy and their potential to recruit motor neurons.
So when we think about muscle, we don't just want to think about muscle, the meat that is muscle, but what controls that muscle. And no surprise, what controls muscle is the nervous system.
We know that actively thinking about a muscle during training speeds up its growth, and a study conducted by Brian Clark from Ohio University demonstrated that just sitting still and thinking about a muscle working might make it stronger, which is why we'll be starting with activation exercises. The first group being the latissimus dorsi. Functionally, the latissimus muscle belongs to the muscles of the scapular motion. This muscle is able to pull the inferior angle of the scapula in various directions, producing movement on the shoulder joint, like internal rotation, adduction, extension of the arm, etc. The exercise, a lat pull-in, is designed to activate the latissimus before we get into the main exercise. Activation exercises are typically short, isolated exercises that target specific muscles to wake them up. Just like stretching, activation exercises increase blood flow to prepare the muscle for weightlifting, cardio, sports, or other physical activities. The latissimus is the largest muscle in the upper part of your body. It starts below the shoulder blades and extends to your spine in the lower part of your back. Beneath the levator scapula, a smaller muscle that starts at the side of your neck and extends to the scapula. Our second activation exercise being a cable pullover. Cable pullover is an exercise that primarily targets the latissimus dorsi muscle. Since the movement only involves one joint, the shoulder joint, it falls under the category of isolation exercises. Although it targets the back, a cable pullover uses the action of shoulder extension to move the shoulders to reach the targeted muscle. Keeping your spine in a neutral position, bend forward and raise your arms until they are an extension of your back. The aim of the exercise is that your arms are kept straight throughout the routine. This would lead to effectively contracting your shoulders. Vice versa, bending your elbows during the cable pullover causes the tension to be retained in your elbows and forearms, leaving the lats neglected. The usual range of motion of the cable pullover starts from the highest point your arms extend to naturally. When doing the cable pullover, use controlled movements and engage your muscle throughout the set. Slowly lower and return the cable to its natural position. Successfully performing the cable pullover requires strength in your upper body, and even though we have already categorized the exercise as an isolation exercise, the movement still involves multiple major muscle groups to a lesser degree to complete the full movement: the latissimus, the pectorals, the deltoids, the rhomboids, teres major, and the tricep. As for the traps, the function of the trapezius is to stabilize and move the scapula. The upper fibers can elevate and upwardly rotate the scapula and extend the neck. The middle fibers adduct the scapula. The lower fibers depress and aid the upper fibers in upwardly rotating the scapula. The chosen exercise is face pulls. Quoting the 19-time world champion powerlifter and personal trainer Robert Herbst, they help keep your shoulders squared and back so someone doesn't get that pulled forward look from doing too much chest and front delt work. They also help build a thicker upper back as a base to arch into for a power bench. While some put this exercise into the deltoid category, the face pull effectively strengthens the shoulder and upper back, including rear delts, trapezius, rhomboids, and rotator cuffs. Next up, we have our first true compound movement. The pull-up is one of the most effective exercises for strengthening the back muscles. Pull-ups predominantly work the latissimus and the trapezius as a compound movement because in addition to working your back, pull-ups strengthen and sculpt your shoulders, forearms, and chest. When properly performed, they also engage your abs, including your deep transverse abdominis, making them a great exercise for targeting many of the major muscles in the body. While there is some debate as to which exercise is more effective in building a wider lat, the pull up or the pull down, studies have shown that both have the same muscle building potential, with a slight difference in that the pull up additionally builds more biceps musculature than the pull down would, meaning if you want to solely focus on your latissimus, the lat pull down would be your better option. If you'd rather have a more holistic exercise with the same latissimus building potential, the pull-up is the perfect choice. While there are many pull-up variations, we will only focus on the two most relevant ones for our goal of building a wider and thicker back, moving us to the scapular pull-up, which primarily targets the lats, trapezius, rhomboids, and serratus anterior muscles. They are extremely beneficial for shoulder health, scapular strength, improving pull-up form, and here we use them mainly to squeeze out the last bit of energy from our lats and traps to go to full failure. As for our next exercise, the barbell row is a fundamental exercise that will pack serious meat onto your back. It also helps bulletproof your shoulders, building the back muscle needed to prevent them from rolling forward when you stand. Given the uniqueness of each setup, a pull-up is a better tool for lengthening your lat, whereas the barbell row is a greater tool for your traps and rhomboids to strengthen and make them thicker. For well-rounded back hypertrophy, make both exercises a part of your program. As for how, the main difference between the overhand grip and the underhand grip is that overhand targets your upper back muscles while the underhand targets your lower back, lats, and traps, so you should feel that movement throughout your traps, rhomboids, and your rear delts. I advise using both overhand and underhand separately to get the most benefit from both of them. As for the question of barbell versus dumbbell row, dumbbells require greater stabilization. Since your arms can stabilize each other, you have more freedom of movement in each lift, and that forces your body to recruit more muscle fibers to stabilize your load. Dumbbells force your arms to work unilaterally. A barbell is closer on the scale to a machine, and dumbbell moves are closer to bodyweight exercises. Both pieces of equipment are very advantageous, but if the goal is to build muscle, especially working in that hypertrophy range, dumbbell exercises are preferable. However, the reason why we do both, due to the dumbbell row requiring more stabilization, it also is the exercise that recruits more motor neurons, while the additional benefit of the barbell is the added strain on the spinal erectors, making them grow stronger, which is not the case with the dumbbell rows. Moving on to our next double exercise, the barbell shrug can be a useful exercise for targeting general back strength, as it can activate the upper and lower traps as well as the spinal extensors. This can be useful for people who want to improve their back strength for sports including powerlifting, as well as bodybuilders who want to go full hypertrophy. Once again, we will be using two main variations, the barbell shrug and the dumbbell shrug, for different reasons. The barbell shrug is more restrictive and offers less range of motion. While that's considered to be a con, it means we can pack on more weight than we could with our second variation. The dumbbell shrug has a much larger range of motion due to the thoracic extension we include when at the lowest point and touching the weights together at the front. This way, instead of just moving vertically, like with the barbell, we move in a longer semicircle, tying in the rest of our back musculature and removing the isolation factor. As demonstrated before with the pull-ups, we will be building in more time under tension, where we either hold the movement completely or slow it down significantly and add another layer of progressive overload. Next muscle targeted directly will be the spinal erectors. The erector spinae muscle lies on each side of the vertebral column and extends alongside the lumbar, thoracic, and cervical sections of the spine. The erector spinae muscle functions to straighten the back and provide for side-to-side rotation. An injury or strain to these muscles may cause back spasms and pain. The chosen exercise is the rack pull, for its potential to further both our categories of hypertrophy potential as well as the potential to increase motor neurons effectively. The most notable benefit associated with the rack pull are increasing pulling strength, reduced injury risk, and posterior chain muscle growth. Some precautions to take when performing this rack pull include ensuring proper technique as well as avoiding slamming the bar down on the rack. Concluding with a finisher and final exercise, the upright cable row. Upright rows are an effective upper body exercise designed to work muscle groups throughout your arms, shoulders, and upper back. Some of the muscles targeted by the cable upright row include your biceps, triceps, anterior deltoids, lateral deltoids, and trapezius muscle. A finisher involves quick, intense spurts of cardio and or strength exercises and is performed at the end of your regular workout, largely only used in cardio or muscular endurance, more widely known as Metcon finishers, as exercises performed at the end of the workout that are designed to ensure that you've burned every last drop of gas from the tank. We use it in a similar capacity for our hypertrophy training by going to failure one final time on this upright row. As you can see, we've covered all four major muscle groups previously mentioned. Since repetitions and sets are highly subjective, I won't be going into that today. Just staying in the typical hypertrophy range should suffice for most people. Here are all the exercises again. If this video helped you in any way, please like, comment, and consider subscribing. It helps me more than you know. See you soon. Captain Cairo out.